to Tailgate Update. Today we have our usual crew, Caleb Horn and myself, Jay Moffitt, and we got a special guest, Jamie Malloy. I've worked with him before, and he is just a fountain of knowledge for football stats and
Appreciate
heartbreak too,
it.
since he's a Bills fan. Me heartbreak because I'm a Titans fan. But anyway, we'll get rolling into this with starting with what's the main thing on Fox and ESPN this week as far as major sports, which is the soccer, the Euro Cup and the Copa America are both going simultaneously. So if you love soccer, there's something going on both day and night for you. Uh, One of the main things with the Euro Cup, and I'll get y'all's comments on this, is it's kind of going according to form. Spain looks great. England is through to the next round. I just saw that happen this afternoon. Um, and Portugal is out. They had a couple of red cards that hindered them, uh, and they lost a game. Did either of y'all catch much of the Euro Cup or have any opinion on the results so far?
I
No,
haven't
no,
I
I
haven't
haven't.
really watched it, but I mean, I think it's been a pretty interesting tournament. I mean, we all know soccer is very popular around the world, especially in Europe, and we'll get later into the U.S. But yeah, but it looks like the teams that you're expecting to do well are doing well so far. But we do want to talk about the stunner with Portugal being out because of a red card. So, Jay, if you can explain that to us a little bit, and then
Yeah, I
we'll
mean they were heavily favored coming in. They didn't do well against Spain, which is not a surprise because Spain is one of the few teams that were stronger than them. But they lost a game due to playing most of the game one player down, 11-10. So they lost that game after having lost the Spain game, and so they were out. And the European has kind of gone according to plan, except for that. The Copa America, a lot of people are watching that, uh, and it's going about like you would expect. But Messi uh, has a groin injury early on, but Argentina is still going to pull through. They're still one of the best teams in the world, and I'll expect him to miraculously get better once they get to the knockout round here in about 3 to 5 days. Um, and that's about it. But the main thing is the Copa America, as opposed to 5 or 10 years ago, they are literally filling these stadiums in Miami, Arrowhead Stadium, um, Atlanta. It's 55, 65,000 people and a lot of upmarked tickets. So the things that they were talking about 10 years ago as far as soccer kind of catching up, especially since it's the off season, no football, basketball wrapped up, people kind of glued to the TV screens, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit next week once they get into the serious big boy knockout rounds. Uh, Moving on to one of the three major sports, we're talking about the NBA, and watched the NBA draft, which was 2 nights or one afternoon and one night. So uh, we'll go to Jamie first. Any thoughts on the NBA draft as it rolled out?
Yeah, it was just another typical NBA draft where a lot of just random trades and trading draft picks rights to other teams, as you see. Uh, the first round wasn't really a surprise. Uh, but what was really cool, though, is we're starting to see, after Victor Wembanyama last year, we're starting to see the French Revolution of NBA draft picks coming out of France. So we say bonjour to that. But the reason why some people think it's a surprise because they're used, a lot of NBA traditionalist NBA fans are used to growing up with the American born players doing so well. But what's helped some of these foreign players like Victor Wembanyama and even Tony Parker back in the day is that the French players, they don't play amateur college. They play in a men's professional league where they're getting trained to play against pro talent that's a better that better translates to today's NBA game, and they're more athletic too. So they may not be getting as much exposure as if they were playing in college on national TV, but they're bettering themselves as pros.
That's true. Caleb, did anything jump out to you about the draft, or even like the 2-day format of the draft, which was the first year?
No, nothing really jumped out outside of I'd say probably like a Dalton Connect, slipping all the way down to 17.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Edey, honestly, going top 10. I know that was your Memphis Grizzlies that snagged him, but
we were surprised too. Yes.
And then Terrence Shannon dropping all the way down to 26. Although a great landing spot with him in Minnesota, him and Ant as a backcourt. There is not going to be a more athletic team in transition than they will. So I think that'd be a lot of fun to watch. About as good as a landing spot as you could ask for.
Yeah,
for a ready-made basketball player like him. So
yeah,
pretty standard issue though, like Jamie was saying, and the Euro players. I mean, it's such a huge advantage for them getting to play against who they play against, and versus college, especially in a year like this. It just seemed like the draft was pretty. It seemed like it was kind of deep, but top end wise, it was really weak.
Yeah, I agree with you. This was the first year that you really started to see maybe the NIL effect of a player that was like, I could play G League, but I could make more with my school with an endorsement and just be living in the dorms and still have my career ahead of me. And this is probably the last year you'll have people with the COVID years. A lot of fifth-year guys coming out. And like Jamie was saying about the French players and everything, if you've been 5 years on regional and national TV, your flaws are really visible. Okay, everybody knows if you can't go right or you can't go left, or your fadeaway is not great, or you can't hit a corner three, as opposed to a French guy or a guy from overseas to where all you've seen is YouTube clips. And they're going to look awesome.
Yep.
So, yeah, and Edey dropping, going in the top 10, it was a surprise. But I mean, I'm a huge Grizzlies fan, and I can live with it because we have so many guys from about 6'6" to 6'10", and both of our interior guys are great scorers, but they aren't great defenders, and they don't have a lot of bulk. And Edey, for certain, he is bulk. I mean, he comes into the NBA as the biggest player in the NBA. Usually a big guy, they're saying he's got to fatten up, he's got to get more muscular. If he gets more muscular than 7'4" without shoes and 300 pounds, in 3 to 5 years, if he bulks up, I mean, that's going to be really something.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing is they went to the second day because of the presidential debate. They did the second day in the afternoon. And, of course, the second round, the only thing that was really covered on any of the major sports networks was Bronny being picked 55 to the to 55 to the Lakers. I had to think about it. It was such a mystery. I had to really think about who he went to. So, Jamie, what was your thought about that whole drama?
Well, it comes to one word and one word only. Basically, the narrative of nepotism and everything like that. But there's also a counter argument. If you watched Bronny's highlights in college, yeah, it was only 4.8 points per game in 25 games. But who knows if that tragic cardiac arrest didn't happen, he showed he could play as a rookie, and maybe he doesn't need his dad. But but because of what happened, it's gonna go back to nepotism. It looks like if he improves on his game, he could not. I mean, I don't think he'll be as good as his dad, but I think he can have a nice 10-year career, making some decent money on a rookie deal.
I could see that. What do you think about it, Caleb?
Yeah, that word nepotism definitely strikes a chord. I don't know. I don't think that he does any one thing really well. I think he's very average in comparison. I think that Isaiah Collier didn't get drafted, did he?
I think you're right. I don't think
he's a much better product right now than Bronny is. I mean, maybe Bronny just has the pedigree his dad's being who he is, but man, if that was, Bronny Moffett or Bronny Malloy or Bronny Horn, and he's not getting drafted. I'll tell you that much. He's not playing D1 college ball. He's not doing anything. I think it's just a joke, and the Lakers taking him just kind of tells me I don't think anybody else was planning on drafting him. I kind of wish they would have now after hearing Rich Paul telling teams that if they draft him, that he'll go play in Europe or something. I would have called their bluff. If I was Boston, I'd have drafted him.
Yeah.
or he could have played in Australia to work on his craft for a year, and then
he could have just stayed in college.
And then when he was ready, he could sign his contract.
Why? I just don't. That was just the dumbest. I mean, one, you're a freshman. You're young anyway, and then two, you're just not very good right now. In regards to how everybody else is built, you know what I mean. You're not already made like a Jamal Shed or Terrence Shannon Jr. or Dalton Connect. Like those guys have all the things that they're really good at. Bronny James is just Bronny James. Like that. It's just his last name. That's all he is right now.
Yeah,
he might be more,
and
but...
I agree. And it was just kind of the bad thing about the luster lost for a lot of the second round picks, because like Jamie noted, it was a really deep draft towards the end because there was a lot of guys that were fringe guys that will come out in other years. I mean, the Grizzlies picked a guy averaging like 18 points a game in like a major conference, and he
Kyle Filipowski, right?
No, Filipowski went somewhere else.
He went to Utah.
Yeah. And there was lots of guys 18, 20 points a game that were going middle of the second round, which is kind of unusual. Usually you get to the middle of the second round, late second round, it's specialty guys. They're really good rebounder, really good defender. But there were guys that had 3, 4, 5-year careers that were averaging 18 points and 8 rebounds that were going 40 and 45. The Grizzlies got 2 second round picks that were both shooting over 40% from 3-pointers. So it was usually that's a tail end of the first round thing, So, but I think it'll be really interesting next week once the people can start negotiating. Yesterday, people are dropping their contracts, picking up their contracts. It should be a really good week in the NBA this week to talk about next week. Now we're going to the NFL, and the main way a lot of people were getting their out-market games, NFL Sunday Ticket, through YouTube lately, but earlier, NFL was sued and lost for $5 billion on the way that they ran the Sunday Ticket. So, Jamie, did you ever have Sunday Ticket? Or you have some thoughts about the way that all broke?
I have never have I ever had NFL Sunday Ticket in my life, but I know my buddy from high school had it on YouTube TV because we watched some games last year. But see, what I think they're not saying is the reason why the NFL didn't have any competition was because most people would know that for the last probably like decade and a half, DirecTV had the Sunday Ticket, and then they dropped it last year and went to YouTube TV. So it is a monopoly now. That's why there's no competition, because YouTube TV basically is the only one that owns Sunday Ticket now. But I mean, we usually reward entrepreneurship, but it should be fair though that that we get our justice, that the NFL should pay some of their own money that because they make a lot. So
Yeah, and I didn't read the full report, but predominantly what they were being sued for is because that I mean you were paying for Sunday ticket and paying exorbitant amounts, but if it wasn't sold out or it was an out of market game or if there was some other way in your area you could get it, that you couldn't watch, which was really unfair to people. They were getting the Sunday ticket because they didn't want to be paying $200 a month to their cable company, and have Sunday ticket. That was the whole purpose. Is like I really don't want to pay my cable company for the games. I'd rather just pay Sunday ticket, but Sunday ticket penalize people for, well, if you can get in your market, you have to get in your market. It's like, well, why am I paying you guys for?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it was just amazing how what should have been their most fervent fan base just really got turned against them.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just a bunch of billionaires being very greedy, and they got caught up from like, I know it's in your contract, but that's not the impression you're giving with your advertising about what you're getting for Sunday ticket. You can watch every hour. No, you can't watch as long as you don't conflict with the NFL rules on carriage and everything. You can watch, but there's a lot you're going to miss out on, despite what $300 and $400 a year some years.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and I guess the NFL says that they're vowing to appeal it. I'm like, well, go figure, you will. Bunch of clowns over there.
They're vowing to settle it out somehow quietly.
Yeah. So whatever.
But yeah, it's not much happening in the offseason in the NFL. There was the part about Bank Field in Charlotte. They are they've been approved for $650 million for public funds to work on the field in Charlotte. And Jamie, I believe you had a few thoughts on that as far as their stadium level right now, and how it compares.
Yeah, because I believe that stadium, if my memory serves me correctly, has been the home of the Panthers since they entered the league in 1995 as an expansion. Now you're going to say, well, the stadium's going to be 30 years old starting next football season in 2025. But if you actually look at like relative to some other stadiums, that's still a stadium that if you patch it up and give it an $800 million patch up, you can make it look like a brand new stadium and everything, because it's not like the Bills, where the Bills stadium is a 50-year-old stadium and an $800 patch up job with that isn't going to do it. So they have to have a new stadium. But basically, like I said, that stadium with renovations could look like the Bills' new stadium once it's complete, or it could, like I'm saying, it's really going to look no different than that one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Caleb, what do you think about this as compared with like what Chicago is doing?
It's definitely probably the best route for them as an organization. Is that publicly funded or is that out of
That's $650 million in public funding.
How much?
$650 million, but it's $800 million in total.
So they're only paying for $150 million of it, and then the public's.
Yes.
Oh man, David Tepper's got them by the neck over there, don't they? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that Chicago's building a new stadium. It's only, I think, 23 years old.
Okay.
But it's way too small and just extremely inconvenient. And hopefully Chicago goes to Arlington Heights, get some land where you can actually sprawl out, tailgate, do all the things, make it their own stadium. They can do whatever they want with it.
And they want to host Final Fours in the Super Bowl with everything.
Yeah, they want to do a dome, which I absolutely despise. Football is meant to be played outdoors, not in a dome, but whatever.
And it's cookie cutter too.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, good for Carolina. I guess some kind of good news, unless you're a taxpayer over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of the way it's going in every state. Taxpayers are getting a little bit tired of it. I mean, like the cost is just not the cost of the stadium. Like for instance, in Tennessee, when they did it, they're going to spend like closer to $1 billion than $500 million of public funds
Yeah.
with the Titans and their whole thing. But on the other hand, here in Memphis, uh, they're having to throw like about $200 or $300 million to Memphis uh, to kind of get it through. Okay, to get it through the legislature because they're spending a quarter of a million. They're spending 250 million or so on the Liberty Bowl for refurbishments. Okay, a 2-year program, and that would have never happened if they weren't giving all the money to the Titans.
Yeah.
So it's not just the football stadiums, but then you're also having to placate people from other communities and other parts of the state to get something done for a football owner. Um, but the only other really cool thing that's happening with the offseason is they're going to do an offseason hard knocks this year, starting July 2nd. I believe Hard Knocks is on Max, and this year the feature team is going to be the New York Giants. So let's see. Back to Caleb. What are you thinking about doing it off season? You think that's a good idea, or
I like isn't that kind of what Hard Knocks is already? I mean,
yeah, but it's so early that there won't be
what's really
a
going
whole
on?
lot going on.
Is that there? I mean, what are they going to be doing?
I was thinking maybe
I
OTAs.
looked it up actually, and it's kind of different than how other teams have used it. First of all, I was surprised the Giants got picked because being a former Bills fan and knowing that their head coach and their GM are Brian Dable and Joe Shane, like this is something that would have never been done in Buffalo when they were there, and because I know for a fact McDermott and Brandon B would not let the Bills do that at all because it's a distraction and everything. But it was actually the owner caved into doing it because they want to use it as a way to promote. It's their 100th season starting this year.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
That
is it
makes
just showing them just gearing up for training camp, basically all the individual
Yeah,
players?
I don't think it's going to be as this one's different. I don't think it's going to be as intense as like the other ones have.
Okay.
that makes sense. But the NFL so falling so far behind every summer in the off-season buzz and everything. The NBA just seems to be having something going on all the time. Even if you don't follow the NBA, you just hear it in the mainstream media. So yeah, but I think that's about all we've got to cover on football. The next sport we're going to talk about, and the really main thing going on this year is right now is baseball. So the one guy that's standing out, like he does every year, but it's Shohei Ohtani.
Yes.
Is really, really. I'm gonna throw it to Jamie to talk a little bit about Shohei and the season he's having hitting.
Yeah, I like Shohei. I mean, I don't like that he's on the Dodgers, but he's a very quiet guy. He just does his job, uh, and he's a superstar. But he's humble. He doesn't showboat really, and the whole the whole gambling thing. I don't think that was on him, but that's another issue. But he's just a electrifying player that the league needs, especially in an era where the sport isn't really being talked about on mainstream media anymore. You don't hear really much about anything about baseball on ESPN except Pat McAfee, but that's pretty much it. That's the only time you really hear baseball. But like I said, if you want to hear about baseball now, I mean, listen to this podcast. I mean, we're talking about podcasts talk about it all the time, and that's where you're really going to get your baseball news, or you can get it on your local sports report on your news TV station, or things like that, or MLB.com, obviously. But no, here's the thing: you want people to start talking about it nationally. Market Shohei Ohtani, Commissioner Manfred. This is the problem with the MLB. The MLB is a rising league now with the pitch clock and all this other stuff, and the league just doesn't promote their stars like it used to.
They have no idea what they're doing. I mean, what other league has Hall of Fame ceremonies on a Wednesday at 1 p.m.? Like, what are you doing?
I know.
You know, like, please just be a serious organization for just 1 second. That should be a Friday night, Saturday evening type deal where all eyes are on you. There's no other competition. Half of America isn't at work. You know, just be serious. Just try. But Shohei, I think I seen yesterday, since moving him to leadoff spot, he's hitting like 421 over his last 12 games, or just something ridiculous. So, and he's already leading the league in average. So, dude's unreal. You can see with his Beal just like focus on hitting every day instead of, you know, kind of working in bullpens and geared up for that every fifth start.
He can't this year because he injured his shoulder.
Yeah,
That's why he can't pitch.
Right.
He's really got the bat dialed in right now. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. And people say, well, Babe Ruth led the league in home runs when he was, you know, pitching. But, I mean, it was 9 home runs, you know. He really never took off as a legendary home run hitter until he became just an everyday hitter because how many reps he would have to be doing with his, you know, with his battery, with the pitching, catching, you know, the days off he'd be taking that he could be hitting. And even on those days off, he wouldn't be able to probably get a bat off his shoulder.
And you're starting to see that kind of come back in baseball. Tani's kind of paving the way. I mean, look at all the two-way players like this year that got last year that got drafted, and this year one of the top prospects that Florida kid's two-way player. And it's just like it's turning into a game now where it was like back in the day where you would move your athletes around from one position to the next. That's what the game's going to in the next 10 years with the new rules. It's going back to athleticism and how you utilize it.
This may be unpopular, but Ohtani's 10 times a player that Babe Ruth ever was.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I mean, hitting 30 bombs while, you know, having a 3.5 ERA and pitching how many innings. Like, Ruth never did it to that level. He did it, but never to that level. And he would be seeing ghosts out here in today's league.
Yeah. And plus, like you were talking about too, it's like in today's league, there's all the scouting, all the everything. I mean, you don't get a 3.0 ERA these days unless you are just literally unhittable.
They look at every possible metric. I mean, there's stuff I have no idea even how to read it. You know what I mean? I'm like, who comes up with this stuff, and how are they digesting it into like actual information that the layman person can read, or that your player can understand? It's just incredible what they do with baseball now.
And plus, the other thing pitchers are cookie cutter now too, where they're throwing fastballs like
gas
every pitch instead of throwing junk like how Tim Wakefield used to do with the knuckleball or stuff like that.
Yeah. And plus, the other thing with Ohtani is there's been 2, 3, 4 months of the drama with the translator and all that kind of stuff. If there's been 2, 3, 4 months of drama with the translator, and who knows how long this has been bubbling on the surface?
Right.
You know, I mean, you know how these major sports leagues are, especially with gambling. They're going to keep this tamped down until they can't anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So it could have been 6 months or a year that Ohtani's been having to deal with this sort of drama from, I mean, the person that he claimed he was not just his translator, but basically was his best friend, that they could have been chasing him down on these charges. So we don't know what kind of pressure that guy was on that nobody could see.
Yep, he's still performing.
Yeah. So, but anyway, back to baseball. The Rangers and the Yankees were reported to be scouting Cody Bellinger from the Cubs, since the Cubs having, I guess, one of those years.
Oh my gosh.
They're selling just like the White Sox are.
I don't know about that level, but since their 18-11 start, I mean, oh my gosh. I'm in disbelief of like what I'm seeing.
The one good thing, Caleb, about some of the way the MLB is with some of these teams having bad starts, is the playoffs are a crapshoot if that team that has a bad start gets in.
Yeah, and I get that, like, just get to the dance, but now I feel like maybe teams are kind of just gearing toward that, where it's like just get to the dance. Like, we don't have to win our division, even though winning the division creates a much easier path for you. But it's just pathetic what I'm looking at. I mean, this Cubs team, holy smokes, like, just fire everybody. It's like today, they didn't get a hit after the first inning. They didn't get a single hit. They haven't scored in double digits since April 16th against the Diamondbacks, which they lost that game. Like, they've scored more than 7 runs, I think, twice in the past 2 calendar months.
Yeah.
They did it in April alone 7 times. The team's just pathetic. It is the worst brand of baseball. I'd rather watch the White Sox right now. That's how poor this is. Just completely uninspiring. So yeah. It won't surprise me. But last year they were kind of in the spot too, and then all of a sudden they just went on a run and ended up finishing 84-78. I think they missed the playoffs by 1 game, but
that's baseball. When you have 162 games, you go through streaks like that. That's just natural, and it happens to any team, good or bad. Really.
But let's listen to this though. That double-digit stat I threw at you, that was 76 days ago. Caleb Williams was not a Chicago Bear yet. That's how long ago that was.
Wow,
it's just unreal. I've never seen anything like it.
I was going to say, do you think there's any other teams besides obviously the Cubs and the White Sox there that you're thinking might be sellers right now that are like so bad that they're being their
Miami
Marlins. I mean, like Jamie was saying, especially the NL, everybody is just so below average right now. Everybody seems like they're under 500 outside of a few teams, and everybody's got a shot realistically to get in there. Yeah. But I don't know that there's anybody playing worse than either Chicago team right now. I mean, the Rangers, they won the World Series last year, and they're below 500. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's just it's a weird season. I think that they did something with the baseballs. Baseballs are a little bit dead right now. I've seen a lot of videos where there's just thought they got absolutely nuked, and it's a lazy fly out to the warning track. So it's just really weird.
But anyway, we were talking about the Yankees and the Rangers going for Bellinger. Before we talk about that, take a look at this. This is the first time you've seen this, guys. I use this for my Yankees Mets podcast I do on this platform.
Yeah.
On Wednesdays. But yeah, that's the World Series banner of all their champions.
Wow, that's cool.
Jamie, you said it's unfortunate that Shohei is a Dodger. Well, you know, many people feel that same way about the Yankees. Anytime a player goes over there, you and the Dodgers are like the Death Star, man. The rest of us are the rebels.
It's kind of how it pretty much is. It's kind of always been like that.
Your Yankees have been struggling a little bit too, buddy.
They won today 8-1.
They lost like 10 out of the last 14 or something like that. Been slipping a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the record's still 53-32, so I can still breathe at least.
Yeah. Well, some guys have it all.
Yeah.
But anyway, with Cody Bellinger, I originally have wanted him to come to the Yankees because I know this might sound like nepotism here, but his old man Hank played for the Yankees as well. So I mean, if he wanted to finish and get a chance to win a championship with the Yankees, but here's the thing with the Yankees: this is a good problem to have. I don't think there's any room really for him to play. They've got like so many players now that like they've got guys that may not be that talented right now, but they're athletic and they can move them around. You got Ben Rice, who can play first base, catcher, third base. J.D. Davis, yes, he's 36, but he can play first or third. Oswaldo Cabrera, you move him around a lot. I mean, and Soto, they got to figure out how they're going to what to do with him in terms of his future with the Yankees. And then you just have Aaron Judge, who's killing it, and Stanton, if he can stay healthy. But they've got so many players on that team. I think he's better off going with the Rangers, where he's going on more of a mid-team, but there's room for him to contribute more.
Well, I mean, the Soto is interesting because he's already said he's not going to not test free agency. So Bellinger has a player option. He's not playing well enough, in my opinion, to opt out of that. So you guys could potentially have him up for 2 more years after this year. And not to mention he's a lefty with that short porch you guys haven't left. That might work out perfectly.
I would like to see him on the Yankees. Like I said, being Hank's son and everything, and he's a good player too on his own. But
I want to ask you one quick thing, Jamie. While you're talking about the pickups, maybe do you think there might be a different player than Bellinger that the Yankees might target if they can't get him off the Cubs?
Eyeballs might, especially in Toronto, eyeballs might start rolling if I say this to Blue Jays fans. But there was a rumor that because the Blue Jays are in seller mode, that the Yankees are looking to get Vlad Guerrero Jr.
I think anybody would be happy with Vladdy Jr.
Yeah, but didn't his dad play in Toronto too?
And the Angels too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But actually, you know what he said? He said recently he never wanted to. He actually said he would rather die than play for the Yankees during his whole career, because him and his dad, Vladdy Sr., had a debate about wanting to play for the team. But then there was an interview where Vladdy Jr. basically said, I retracted those comments as a business, and now I want to be a Yankee
I could see that. I mean, they keep these comments forever, but I mean, who didn't say anything when they were 20 or 22 that they got to when they were 30 and said that was a dumb thing? I'm going back on what I said back then. Just because you're a sports figure doesn't mean, and it's big dollars, doesn't mean that you can't change your mind within 5 or 10 years. Especially if you play for 3 or 4 different teams, you start to lose your loyalty after a while. So, but let me just throw in one other thing about the World Cup before I'm gonna get back to everybody for a couple of final thoughts. That England got through today. Spain won their game, so over Slovakia. So it's mainly going the way that it's supposed to go. But tomorrow night, the United States plays against Uruguay, which is one of the best teams in Copa America, and they've got to win. And this is looking so bad because they lost to a much worse team earlier this week. But anyway, I'm going to circle around. Everybody take about 2 or 3 minutes for some final thoughts. Caleb, what are you looking forward to over the next week in with whichever sport?
Man, I don't know. I guess it probably NBA. Bulls are in a really weird spot. They just sold off Alex Caruso for freaking Josh Giddey.
For Josh Giddey, yes.
Managed to not get a single draft pick from the team that has the most draft picks I've ever seen a team have.
That was hilarious. I loved reading about people's opinions on that. It's like, how do you not even ask for a draft pick?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, what are we doing? It'd be interesting to see what they do. It doesn't sound like they're going to bring back DeMar DeRozan, which makes a lot of sense. Makes sense for both him and the team. Levine, it sounds like they don't have much luck there. I don't know. Probably just have to end up keeping him. They just re-signed Pat Williams. It sounds like 5 years for $90 million. They got a young core. I don't know. I'm so out of love with the Bulls right now. It's just, I'm so tired of the purgatory. Blackhawks off season should be pretty interesting. They're young as well. I don't know. a lot of stuff going on. Training camp's getting ready to fire up here in a couple of weeks. There's stuff to look forward to. It's just
you know what
weird.
The Blackhawks are doing. They're trying to do a little revisionist history. They're trying to build with all these top 5 picks like they did when they had Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, and Duncan Keith, and they're trying to recreate another dynasty like they did then. The same way.
Yeah, it's looking good so far. But
what about you, Jamie? What are you thinking about this week?
Hockey's another one. It's like they've kind of got the same mentality as baseball. It's a crapshoot playoff. Like I said, get into the dance and see what happens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which sport are you looking forward to this week, Jamie? Are you focusing on baseball? Some of the things going on there, or what are you thinking about off-season, another sport?
Well, no, baseball, but also NHL free agency. The Sabres got $30 million in cap space, and we'll see what they spend it on after buying out all of Jeff Skinner's contract after the draft.
I'm really looking forward to the knockout rounds on the Euro Cup, especially the Copa, not so much because I think the U.S. will be gone.
Shame,
but it's a weird schedule this year with it because of the Olympics being when they are, which is about 2 or 3 weeks. So all these tournaments are falling at the same time. And I'm really looking forward to the NBA offseason. Paul Pierce opted out. There's not Paul Pierce. Paul George opted out. Sorry. Paul George opted out from the Clippers. And so that's going to be interesting. Same thing with Klay Thompson. The Grizzlies are trying to re-sign a couple of players. Their best outside shooter, Kennard, they didn't pick up his option, but they are trying to negotiate with them. I think for more years and less money is the deal.
Okay.
But in the next 3 to 5 days, I'm really expecting there to be 2 or 3 major things going on with the NBA.
Oh yeah.
So I'm really, really looking forward to that coming out. With the Olympics coming up, I mean, in 10 days, I mean, there'll be so much going on with the NBA offseason and the Olympics that it's just a sports fan just could be 24/7, watching. I mean, even the trials were interesting this year. So there's lots of people that every night they'll watch the swimming or the women's gymnastics. So I think I'm about wrapped up with mine. Any last thoughts before I have Jamie to close this out?
Nothing for me, boss.
I think I'm good. Jamie, if you want to go ahead and hit the button and we'll say bye to people. Oh, one more thing, Jamie, tell people where they can find Jamie's our special guest this week. Tell them where we can find your podcast and also your Twitter handle so people can follow you.
Absolutely, Jay. Thank you. So you can find me, yours truly, on Bill's Chat 1 at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dogtags on X, and theforkball.com, which is the company that does this podcast. And I also write for the Forkball. I'm a writer about all different types of sports. You can check out my articles there. And for all the Forkball listeners on this podcast, I host my own podcast on Driving to the Top Productions. It's a baseball one called the Subway Conversation Chat. So any of you Forkball listeners that want to come listen and me and a co-host talk about a sport, the Yankees and the Mets, and talk about a sport where the mainstream media isn't covering it, this is the platform to do it, Driving the Top Productions. And I hope you'll come and listen on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock p.m. And don't forget to subscribe to the Forkball YouTube page, and also Driving to the Top YouTube page every Wednesday night.
Okay.
Or wherever you listen to your podcast, please tune in. Thank you very much. We're all
Okay.
growing every day to get better.
There you go. Caleb, give out your shout out to your Twitter handle, please.
Yeah, we're just at the Cap 11. Talk lots of smack. Get on people's nerves. Just do the thing. No, we have fun on there, and look forward to hearing from you guys. And please subscribe.
Okay. Yeah. Subscribe to the Tailgate Update YouTube channel. Tailgate Update. It's on Forkball. I'm Ajax Mem at on your Twitter, and I guess that's about it. Go ahead and hit the button, Jamie.
Will do. In 3, 2, 1.